This is my honest review of the new Superman movie, and this in my hands is the original 1941 Max Fleischer Superman, hand-painted, one-of-a-kind animation cell from the very first cartoon. So if you're wondering if I'm a Superman fan, you're damn right I am, and I'm going to give you an honest review about the movie, and I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to tell you everything, and I'll warn you before spoilers. And this is my comic book for those of you who are interested. My name is Graig Weich. I'm an independent comic book artist, writer, and director from BeyondComics.tv, and this is my new book here, Gekido, co-written by writer Brandon Wilson and me, Graig Weich, the artist. So we both co-created this character, and then you'll see all my new superhero characters inside the book, which I hope you guys enjoy. But on to the review, and I'm going to tell you guys what I really love about it, what I hate about it, and really try to give you guys like a heads up. These are my new characters, by the way, just to get a quick peek, and that's my drawings. So let me tell you about this movie. In a nutshell, I want to love it as much as I loved the Christopher Reeve Perfect Superman film. It's charming. Those old movies are so charming. The new movie lacks that charm. However, David Corenswet is an excellent Superman, good casting. But why do we love Lois in this movie? She is nothing but kind of a thorn in his side, really. She's not a likable character, and the character development, it's very minimal, so they want you to just kind of jump into the middle of a Superman episode. So if this was an animated cartoon, it would be fine. I think you'll have no problem with this movie if it was an animated movie. Another adventure of Superman's. But this should be like the 7th film. You know what I'm saying? Not the first. This is the new launch of James Gunn's universe. So to just kind of jump right into the middle of action, no character development, no background to it, is a problem. And then also when you come to the casting of Lois Lane, even though she's a very good actress, why her for this role? And even Hawkgirl, why her for that role? They're just very kind of normal-looking people. You know what I'm saying? And for a superhero film, you want casting to be like mind-blowing. Like his casting choice for David Corenswet as Superman, excellent. Even though the suit's very baggy and kind of swims on him, it's too large, not form-fitting enough. They could have still used the same suit, just more form-fitting. It's not as noticeable when he's in motion on camera. As many people have said, for some reason they chose these weird fisheye camera lenses, so everything is looking very distorted in the camera, like his hands are like here, which is where, or his head is like all the way here, which makes everything look strange and awkward and out of position and odd. And no use of the characters like the guy from SNL, which was nice to see him, but he's just there to kind of like mock Superman when he's Clark Kent for like a second. I don't know, he's just there. Same with, what's her name? Kat, from Catco. She's like the blonde girl with the glasses. She's just kind of there. Very pretty, but nothing to do with the movie. It doesn't move the movie forward. A lot of exposition, just like words coming to tell you, just know this before we get started. Like, show it. Why not? Boom, why don't you show it? Show it some action. Hey, quick little flashes of him arriving on Earth just in the credits opening. Show his origin in the opening of the credits, and then start the movie. It's lacking that kind of pacing and punch that it needs. That's why the guy on Twitter who re-edited the trailer made it really heroic just by re-editing the same trailer. Then somebody else edited the trailer, or I should say X before, edited the trailer to make it look like a CW TV series opening. And this movie feels like a big budget version of like the season finale of The Flash or Supergirl on CW. It feels like that. It looks like that. This very big budget epic version. So you're transported into a comic book universe. And I'm going to start dropping some spoiler alert. I'm going to start dropping some spoilers. One of the issues about this is that it doesn't feel real at all. I don't feel like I'm on Earth with Superman like I did with the Christopher Reeve film. Or even the Zack Snyder film, which was darker, but it felt real. Like, wow, they brought Superman to life. I believe he's real. This felt like I'm watching almost a CGI movie or a cartoon, but with live action actors. So I don't believe the world. And also because the stakes are so unrealistic, you don't feel tense or nervous except for one scene. Spoiler alert. Since this movie is geared towards children, it's bright, it's colorful, it's for kids, it shocked me that they would execute somebody and shoot his brains out on camera. I thought that was incredibly poor decision to make, because this is a kids, young teenager movie. You don't do that. Pick a lane. Either it's going to be violent, you're going to do that, or you're not. And if you're not and it's for kids, keep it for kids. They say asshole, they say shit, they say, you bitch. That's another thing. Boom, 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 spoiler alert. Why do you introduce Supergirl for the first time as a drunk party girl who says, thanks for watching my dog Crypto, bitch? Really, you're gonna have her say that as her first introduction to the movie? Man, that rubbed me the wrong way, and a lot of other people too. I know that she has that drinking problem in the comic book. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying as the first introduction to her, to Supergirl, to have her just walk in as a drunk party chick from the club and then call Superman a bitch. Wow. And that's another thing too. This is the first time I've ever seen them make Superman, and all the men in the film, the majority of the men in the film, are crying. Superman is crying, even Lex is crying, Superman's Earth Dad, Pa Kent is crying, and then all the women are very masculine and kind of Karen-like, and they're, oh look, you're being emotional, like they're discarding the guy's feelings. Like, if you're gonna do it, at least they could be a little empathic and warm. Instead, he's making it like the kind of stereotypical Karen women of today. Again, for those of you who don't know, when you call someone a Karen, it's like they're fighting, they're complaining, they're difficult for no reason. Sometimes they're even worse. So he's tapping into that, but why? Like, why is Ma Kent not nurturing? And she's like, oh, you guys are emotional again and discarding. Why is Lois Lane so flip about, I don't know if I could love Superman. I'm not sure. Like, what? Why? Like, why are you acting that way? What's going on with that? Why is Lois Lane so not likable? Make her likable. She's a great actress. I don't know why they would select, out of all the actresses, why they'd put her in that role. But it makes sense why they cast David Corenswet as Superman. He looks heroic. He's Superman-esque. He's got a vibe there. Very good. Again, I've never seen anybody match or top Christopher Reeve. I'm saying if they release that first Christopher Reeve film now, okay, and you line up all the Supermen, he still stands out as clearly the best. It's just very obvious visually. And then when you watch his performance, the dynamic difference between the bumbling Clark Kent who slouches over, oh, hi Lois, how you doing? And the Superman who's very, powerful. And then also they use the new 52 neck collar for Superman here, which I never liked. I like that open V-neck collar because it makes the neck look powerful when you do this. You have that V-neck in there. It's a nice power look, and also the cape strings pull to push your neck forward so it looks more masculine and strong. And I like that. And I think that these superhero movies, the importance of the look of the costume design is very important, along with the music and the visual aesthetics, and of course the script, which is the heart of the story. So again, this is like jumping into the middle of an episode of Superman's adventures. We're just jumping right into an episode of Superman, and that's fine. And I was very entertained by it. So I want to make it clear that I was very entertained by seeing Superman have an adventure. And it was exciting and interesting and great ideas. I also love the hypno glasses. That's awesome. But who made them? Where do you get them from? How do they have that power? Was it Mr. Terrific? This really felt more like a Mr. Terrific film, but I think also James Gunn in Hollywood doesn't seem to know the difference between background characters and star characters. Iron Man's a star, Spider-Man's a star, Batman and Superman are stars. Hawkgirl, Mr. Terrific, even Guy Gardner, those are B characters, they're background characters. Those are not A-listers. Same with the Thunderbolts, New Avengers. For Marvel, these are background characters. These are not A-listers. And they're trying to make the fans gravitate toward that. You can't. You can't. That's like making the best friend of the star of the TV series have the same box office. You can't. It's the co-star. That's why there's co-stars and the stars. And when you're a star character like Superman, there's no reason why you didn't have the other superheroes in there. Why the small cast? And where is Batman if he's going to be introducing the new universe of Wonder Woman and Batman and hopefully the original Green Lantern, which I know is a series coming, and Aquaman, and you have Aquaman, all these different characters. Where are they during this cataclysmic event that's happening to planet Earth, where the whole Earth is opening into a black hole? Very kind of over-the-top ideas, but I like them. It was very entertaining. I really thought it was a cool idea. But I would have liked to see a movie that builds the character, because this is James Gunn's universe of Superman. We've never had an origin story of James Gunn's Superman. We've had origin stories of Zack Snyder's and the other actors, but not him. So that's why I'm curious. Again, I understand the thinking, and James Gunn has the right thought process, but I remember his interview, which you could watch online, where he very clearly says that he doesn't have Superman down yet. He's going to have to work on it until he can find Superman and find how to write Superman. That's not how Hollywood should work. You should get an aficionado who's a real writer, whether it's, you know, somebody else that like is a Superman writer that you love, or someone like myself who's a super aficionado on writing movie scripts and things. And my gosh, I've done so much. Wow, if you guys knew, you know, there's something called ghosting, where you punch up scripts and you make them better. Wow, if I could talk about that stuff. Anyway, the point is that, you know, now that I'm writing scripts for my characters and my stuff, you'll see it hopefully one day soon, and I hope I'm here to enjoy it in a good way, because these things take a long time when you're an independent artist. But I've tried in my own scripts to embody everything that I love about the best superheroes: the first RoboCop, the Matrix, the first Matrix, the first Superman, you know, the Michael Keaton '89 Batman, the Dark Knight Christopher Nolan Batman, the original Star Wars, and Empire Strikes Back. Ooh, these are good, juicy films. So I've tried to take that and make something brand new with new superheroes and new superpowers and new stories with my characters. So if you want to see them, again, go to beyondcomics.tv and you can see the stuff that I'm working on over there. But again, back to James Gunn, one of the big spoilers: why did you make Superman's Kryptonian parents like evil Nazi dictator type characters, that it's revealed that they wanted him to have a harem of women and kill any human who's stupid until they obey him and he leads the world? That's a little harsh. That, like, you've kind of wrecked the purity of the Kryptonian parents. I understand the setup as a film, because at the end, then he wants to relax and see his human parents. But let's talk about his human parents. Why make them the stereotypical redneck stereotype? Why? They came across as very simple, like simpletons. Hello, Clark. Okay, doop-a-doop-a-doop. Why downplay them? They're the heart of Superman. They raised him. Show the empathy of the mother. Why is she so, oh, I guess your father's emotional? Why put it down? If you're going to have it be emotional, have the women be supportive of it. You know, it's like they wanted to show it. The women are powerful, and now only the men can cry, and only the men are emotional. The women are like cold as ice. Why? Let's use the film not to represent the worst of humanity, but the best. You understand? So that's what I think. And I want to know what you guys think. Who, if you've seen it, post your comments below. Give me your thoughts about this stuff. And again, one of the things about the original Christopher Reeve Superman film, a lot of people are like, oh, let it go, you know, it's an old movie, don't be stuck on the past. Listen, I want to love this film with an A+, but it's not up to par with the development of the character and to draw me into it. It still feels like adults dressing in cosplay pretending to be superheroes. It doesn't 100% make you feel like you believe they are the superhero. Christopher Reeve really comes across as Superman. And remember, I grew up, my first Superman was George Reeve on the repeated TV shows when I was like 2.5, 3 years old. That was the only Superman I knew. And then when they showed little clips of the serial, of the first Superman, Kirk Allen, back in the day, and my dad, God rest his soul, I love you and miss you, who had Action Comics #1 when he was a baby, because my dad was born in 1932. He was much older when he had me, and he waited a long time. He was in the newspaper for being one of the oldest bachelors, by the way. Isn't that something? But he was like in his late 30s, and that was considered an elderly bachelor back at that old time, you know. But moving forward, he had Action Comics #1, which sold for $6 million a couple of summers ago, and he just gave it away when he was a teenager to a young kid who he thought would enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? Isn't that unbelievable, right? But he loved Superman, and he loved that, and he brought me the little serials, the VHS cassettes of the serials to watch that they used to play little clips of. It was like 4-hour-long movie that they'd play like about maybe like 15 minutes before a feature film back in the 1940s, Dad told me. So that was kind of cool to hear about that and to see that Superman. But that was later. But again, I was introduced first to the George Reeves Superman, then the Max Fleischer cartoon, and the 60s and 70s repeats, like the repeats of the cartoons that they replay years later, because those were like the 60s ones and some of the 70s ones were made before I was even born. So to see those replayed on television was a big deal. But then when I was a little boy, I remember going in to see Christopher Reeve as Superman. They were showing it in the theaters again. And I was like, oh my God, that's Superman. Like, it was just clicked. Like, that's the real Superman. I don't know who the other people were, but that's real Superman. Like, it was just hands down the winner. So I believe if you put Christopher Reeve's face and his persona in the present movies today, he would be the best cast. His performance is masterful. So again, I'm not trying to say that, oh, I'm crapping on anything else. No, I want them to bring forth something that's equally as good, if not better. And they should be able to, but they can't because they're making and they're force-fitting people into roles. So again, James Gunn admitted that he had to write and find his Superman voice. Why? Have someone like me who loves it write the Superman script. Have someone like maybe some of the other amazing Superman writers out there write the Superman script. We love it. I love superheroes. Like, it brings me to life. I live for this stuff. You understand? Like, that to me is more real than even us, because when we're long gone, the superheroes will hopefully remain. And that's an envisioned version of us. So my supervillains are everything I despise and don't want to be. And my superheroes are everything I strive and wish to be and try to do better at. You understand? But my characters start kind of where I either was or am, so that I could build up and become the hero in the world of the comic book. That's the way you have to imagine every character that you're writing. You see what I'm saying? That's the way I do it, and I try to make it very grounded in reality. So back to James Gunn's script. Again, we're watching like an episode of Superman the Animated Series or Justice League. Boom, here's Superman in this crazy adventure, crazy action. There's no growth to the character. He's Superman already, and he's Superman from start to finish. In the Christopher Reeve version, and even the Zack Snyder version, he starts one way, which is called the hero's journey, if you look it up, and then he grows into becoming the Superman. This character, he is Superman consistent. Also, to make Lex Luthor an assassin, I don't know how they're ever going to bring him back into film because he assassinates people, and when Superman bursts in, and he's there, and he finally, at the end of the movie, gets to Lex Luthor, why does he just stand there, hey Luthor, what you did is bad, and that's not cool. And, dude, punch that dude out. You know what I mean? Like, you saw him assassinate the little food vendor guy who gave you food. Oh, man. So, one of the other things, too, is that Crypto, very cool, but very obviously CGI, because his fur and the way he moves is like he's in water. It didn't move like a real dog. It's very good. It's well done, but you know it's CGI. You know that's not a real, actual dog in the scene. So I would have preferred for them to really just use a real dog and train the dog, and then just, make the body CGI to fly around. It's, just my little 2 cents there. But also, James Gunn is notorious for forcing your feelings by using animals and babies. To me, that's like when a comedian makes a fart joke. It's like a forced laugh. So he's forcing the feelings. Superman saves the little, a squirrel or something? It's called save the cat in screenwriting. You force the character to do something kind-hearted so that you are supposed to feel emotionally connected to the character. And I think a lot of the new, younger audiences that are not as familiar as we are with the films will fall for that and be like, oh, it's so emotional, oh, they're cute little animals, or whatever. But I think in reality, to me, that's like a crutch, because you weren't able to figure out or have the time to figure out how to make people care about the individual character. So just show them saving some little, dog or cat or, a squirrel or whatever you do. So I feel like he relied too heavily on that. This is just, if you compare it to other movies, you'll see what I'm saying. He did it with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 as well. Guardians of the Galaxy 2, pow! Awesome! That's one of James Gunn's best, finest works, Guardians 2. And I really appreciate Gunn's creativity with the hypno glasses. I love that. But again, who made those hypno glasses? And Mr. Terrific is cool, but a background character like Guy Gardner and Hawkgirl. These are background characters. So I'm not really sure why they are so featured in there, because they're kind of background characters, but that's okay. And I do think that Mr. Terrific was awesome, but he's wearing like a biker jacket and crap. Like, it's not I don't know, the suits, the costumes are a big deal in superheroes. And to me, you need to make those costumes like, wow, how did they make it? That's amazing. Especially with Hawkgirl's mask. Make that amazing. It looks just like the CW Hawkgirl mask. So, I don't know. And then you compare it to a movie like Black Adam. It's very similar. This movie is a very similar genre level. If you're going to rate it from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, 1 being the worst. Black Adam is like about a 6.5, a 7. Same with Thunderbolts. Same with this film. About a 6.5, 7. Entertaining, yes, but it doesn't really add much to the character. I like that he used his laser vision to laser everybody, but finally he's fighting, his cloned version of himself. Why don't they show that? Why don't they show a scene where Lex grabs a piece of his hair, as a flashback or something cool? Remember, like, he used his hair to hold up kind of like some giant heavy weight. So maybe he, gets that hair and steals it or something, and then they show it. A lot of telling. So Lex is just exposition telling. That's, again, considered in the writing community of scripts like lazy writing. Show it. Show the visuals. Don't just say it. You know what I mean? Sometimes you have to. If you can't show a visual, you're running out of time. I get it. But there were opportunities where they could have. So again, when I see a movie, if I feel I could have fixed that script better, or I could have edited it better, or directed it better, that means that movie, for that budget, didn't live up to what it could have been. Wolverine and Deadpool and Wolverine. Pow! That is a freaking great movie. Even without the bloody violence and cursing, it's still a great movie. So that's how you know when you got a good script, good character-driven development, good movie. That's a good film. A spectacular, epic film are the ones I mentioned earlier. Empire Strikes Back, mind-blowing. Spider-Man 2, mind-blowing. The original Superman with Christopher Reeve, mind-blowing. Even though it had little goofy scenes or little funny kind of stuff that maybe today wouldn't play as well, the movie still holds up. The Matrix, boom! The Matrix, the first Matrix, mind-blowing. You learn something, your brain is expanded, you got new knowledge. That's a script. Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, what? Wow, what a movie. Like, you feel the tension, it's so real. It's like, I believe it. This was like I'm watching a video game or a cartoon, but with live action actors, as I said before. So you're very aware that it's not real. So when you see the black hole splitting the earth apart, you don't feel that's real because you've never experienced anything like that or seen that in real life, so you don't feel it's real. When Lex holds the gun to the guy's head, you feel that. And then what about the little kid who says, Superman, save us, which is clearly, kind of, you know what James Gunn is doing there. He's doing a political statement about, Palestinians who don't have any weapons and they're innocent and they need help. So they say, save me, Superman. But Superman doesn't save them. He doesn't come. He sends Guy Gardner instead. Hey, sorry, kid. Superman was busy, so he sent us. Dude, that was your moment to have Superman be like, bum-ba-da, and he jumps in. But again, they're pushing the background characters. I don't know. That's what I'm saying. But again, I love James Gunn's work. I love what he's done. He's got his own style and his own thing. But again, I'd rather have somebody who's in love with the Superman character and knows it inside and out. If they told me to write 10 Superman scripts, bang, I could write 10 Superman scripts because I know it so well. I know what works, what doesn't, why it does, etc. And I understand how not to isolate new fans from old fans. New fans and old fans need to come together. And it's a win when both sets of fans just love it. Again, everybody, hands down, 90+% loved Deadpool and Wolverine, loved Dark Knight, loves Empire Strikes Back, Christopher Reeve Superman. Nobody's debating it. They just love it. It's phenomenal. And that's what you want when you have a movie like this. You want it to be phenomenal where the majority all agrees. If you're split and you have some people like it, some people don't, that's rough. Now, why did they do this with Superman's parents and then the evil leader who's supposed to be kind of like a Putin character mixed with like maybe the Israeli leader? Kind of loosely based on this or something like that. It's really hard to say because they're trying to stay away from real life political stuff like Tom Cruise did so wisely in both Top Gun films. You never know who the villain is, so you don't ostracize anybody. You don't, stop the movie from being released in certain countries. It's very well thought out in order to get distribution and get your stuff out there. So again, he's kind of making up villains for the movie. But you kind of know it's, that evil, dictator must be a Putin-esque hybrid mix of him and other leaders that we don't like. And then, but also Lex Luthor. Why is Lex Luthor hating Superman and become an executioner? Suddenly, like they didn't build into why. Just like they didn't explain who made the hypno glasses. Just little things are missing, right? And then the end of the movie was kind of a flat ending. It's like, hey, I'm healing, and he likes to watch his parents, but now instead of the Kryptonian parents, who he's now discarded, now he's going to accept his Earth parents. Okay, but let's have him fly off. Dun, 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 you know, like the Superman, like he opens up that, show him open the shirt. They never showed Clark transform into Superman. Show it. It's such just action, action, action. So fast that you don't get a chance to stay on the ride because you're already on a different ride. So it's like changing rides constantly. So again, that kind of is a real fair, honest, truthful breakdown of the film. Again, please post your comments. Let me hear your thoughts, your feedback on it, guys. And again, you're going to enjoy the movie, especially if you're a kid. Oh, you're going to love this movie as a kid. But when you've seen perfection like Empire Strikes Back, and you've seen the first Matrix, and you've seen the first RoboCop movie with Peter Weller, woo, perfection, Paul Verhoeven, wow. The original Total Recall movie, what? That's amazing. The reboot's horribly disappointing. So again, I want to love this so much. So I can only tell you I loved enjoying it. I thank you, James Gunn, and all of the people involved in the movie for keeping Superman alive and giving us a Superman adventure. But I still am hoping to make that perfect Superman. I know how I would do it. Man. And you saw, right, the animation art in the beginning of Max Fleischer's Superman. Could you imagine that as a live action film? Ooh, would I nail that? I'm telling you, first of all, the casting would be equal to Christopher Reeves visually, and the suit would be equal, if not better, or I'm not doing it, period. And that's the way you got to go into this thing. If you're uncertain, you're trying to find the voice, if somebody says, hey, here's a bunch of money, Graig, write a character you know and nothing about, and you don't care about, boy, I would just rather turn it over to someone who knows and cares about it. You know what I'm saying? That I has a proven track record. So again, there's certain things, that's when you have to stay true to the integrity of what you know and what you don't, what you love and what you don't. That's it. You know what I'm saying? For example, I know that Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter is a phenomenal series. It's amazing, but it doesn't impact me the way superhero movies impact me, and I can see the difference. So if I ever got the opportunity to edit that stuff, I would rather turn it over to somebody who really understands it from their heart, that inspired, that changed their life. When I saw Superman with Christopher Reeve, and he looks at Lois and he says, "I never lie, Lois." I was like a little baby, and I was like, I never lied too, Superman. You know, I was like a little kid. And that kept me, you know, trying to learn how to be honest. Of course, a little devastated that technically he did lie, because he lied about being Superman when he was Clark Kent. So Superman maybe is not lying, but Clark Kent holding back that he's Superman is lying, which is still the same person. So technically he lied there a little bit. But as a child, I didn't know that. So I've been pretty honest about it. All right, guys, thank you so much. And as they say in comic books, to be continued. This is comic book artist, writer, and director Graig Weich from BeyondComics.tv. Peace. Up in the sky, it's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Upcoming issue of Gekido #1 from Beyond Comics.
See the comic I drew. Peace. Post your comments below and make sure to subscribe, follow, and share. Thanks for watching, guys. Just scan the QR code and follow on our social media to enter.